Hi, everyone. So this will be a video that kind of walks you through how to actually go through the process of researching using iconographic tracking. So first of all, just forgive my appearance. I'm very cold and it seems like comfy clothes are the only things that can keep you warm. So I've got my repping my Super Bowl losers sweatshirt. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how you might approach this project. So at this point, you should have already done the reading that was due Thursday of this week during week 13, and you should also have gone through the slides that sort of walk you through the method, but I just wanted to offer an extended example so that you can kind of see different ways to do this. So I am going to, okay, sorry. All right, so I'm going to walk you through this with an example. So if you'll remember, the slides take you through sort of like what is the purpose, what are the objectives of the project and of the research methodology and where it comes from. So this is just a little bit of recap at first, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And then I'll walk you through an example that shows you the 5 different stages of the research project that you will go through. So you have to go through these 5 stages. So one thing I want to point out is the assignment sheet says this, the examples show this. When you do this project, you're basically gathering a bunch of different versions of the same image, or the image that has changed over time after going viral. And then you are going to both write a report about it, but also demonstrate your analysis through some sort of visual. And so real quick, I can even show you because they're up here. The examples. So there's lots of different ways to visually represent your findings. So this group, they looked at the really famous photograph of the Afghani girl with the green eyes that was on National Geographic on the cover, and tracked kind of like, they categorized the different types of photos or the different types of iterations of the photos and then sort of put them on a timeline. So it could be something like this. This group did sort of just a quick count. I will say this is not even bare minimum. This is a little too simplistic for me, honestly, because I want you to be showing a bit more in-depth analysis. But if you did this in conjunction with something else, that might work. This group did sort of a similar timeline type thing using a different type of artifact, which was kind of cool. This group did more of the, like, here's our visual representation of our groupings and how they sort of connected to each other. So something like that. This group, so you'll see, this has the pie charts, but they're a little more, there's a little more in depth here, right? There's like a bit more analysis going on. So this is another option. So you can sort of take a couple simple things and put them together. And then this is another timeline. And then you'll see in the examples, I won't go through them, but in the written examples, you've got some other ways to sort of do this. So that's just something I want you to be thinking about. The reading for this week definitely showed you some different options that were kind of complex. Like, it doesn't have to be quite that in depth because you're also not going to have thousands of images. You're only going to have a set number of them. So, moving on. So circulation studies, we're sort of working in that field. It's part of multimedia writing, and it's basically looking at, how something is created, how an artifact or discourse or an idea is created, but also what happens beyond creation, right? Like in this class, we focused so much on the creation of multimedia writing, but let's now, like, this unit is all about stepping back and looking at beyond, like, what happens after we send something out into the world, which is really important. So a few things. So this project really shows us sort of like how communication moves. It allows us to think about how technology and people and time and place and all of these different factors work together to sort of make something go viral. And some of these things are in our control and some of them aren't. Sometimes it's just kind of happenstance, right? Which I know we talked a lot about last week. It also helps us think about when we're writing and creating in digital spaces, like what might happen. And I think that's really important. And then finally, it requires us to think about all the stages of writing and creating. So from the beginning to the very end, after you send it out into the world. Okay, so Iconographic tracking is this research method. And really what it is at the end of the day, it is collecting and, picking sort of a focus or an image, collecting all the different versions of that image. And you have to think in a digital world, it's so much easier to one, change images slightly, but also to send them out, right? And the technology does a lot of the work for us, for good or for evil, right? So you're basically collecting, and then you're looking for patterns, and you're looking for connections to like what those patterns mean, what it suggests, like what impact that this might have had. So really that's in a nutshell, that's what you're doing. And you're thinking about how all of this relates back to multimedia writing and everything that we've been learning. So that's my quick spiel. Hopefully, if you have questions about that, please let me know. But I want to talk about the stages because that's super important. So we're going to start with what's called data hoarding. Okay, so it's basically just collecting. And I love the idea of hoarding because it's like taking everything you possibly can. So I'm going to pick something. And what I'm picking is actually the WVU logo. So the flying WV, right? So this is the image. This is my image, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and save that image. And what I'm gonna do, and there's different ways to do this. So you can, folks in the past have created kind of like they've done links, they've had a Google Doc and then links, but most people tend to create a Google folder and then save versions in there, but you can also do it to your local desktop, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to call it English 303 final project. And I'm going to save, this is like flying WV. Okay, so that's like my base. So even just searching for WV logo right away, I've already got, so if we count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, slightly, I'll count that one, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've already got 14 different versions, okay? And like, none of them are super interesting. I mean, they're just kind of like differences, but they count. And then you start scrolling and you can start to see, oh, wow, there's some interesting. So like, here's like the juxtaposition of the different history, like the different ones, which is pretty interesting, right? You've got sort of stuff like this with, what people have created, legends. So this is something different. You can keep going. And so basically what I would be doing is I'd go through and collect as many different ones as I could. But there's different ways to do that, right? So like you can look at the top here and you've got different, like, let's try WV logo, cool. Oh man, we got fire. Oh God, look at this one. Oh, we have, oh man, the football gloves, like that's amazing. So basically you can go through and try and find, and I'll tell you the project is more interesting if you can find kind of different ones. If you do a logo and you're just finding the same thing over and over again, you want to sort of expand. So there's different ways you can go. So Google Image is really popular. Try other sites like even Bing or like DuckDuckGo, because you'll get different results. Another one, let's see, I like going to Creative Commons because its stuff is not always indexed. And so if you search for images, let's try this. Okay, so I have two, so you're not going to find as many, but like I have this cool glowing one, probably on the side of a building, and I've got one that's on the ground here. So I think these are great. You can also, so you can do a reverse image search. So you can kind of see sometimes new stuff, you'll find new stuff that way. So let me go back. I would like to just, I mean, again, you can do like basketball. Okay, so you can find stuff like that. You can do spring break, right? Different stuff might come up. There's not as much. Let's try flag. Right, okay, so I found some more like this let's go flag. Like you can find lots of different stuff. So you just have to be kind of creative with what you're searching for. But anyway, so let's say I want to do a reverse image search and see. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I will copy the link. I'm going to throw it in here. Let's see. where, okay, we'll try this instead. Let's see, project. Let's try this. So sometimes this will take you, you can kind of see, okay, so you can find similar ones. And you can also see, you can basically what this does is sometimes you can find kind of similar stuff, but more importantly, you can find exactly where, how many times that image has surfaced in other places. So it's like that exact image. And that can be interesting for your data collection, like seeing where this stuff is showing up, because you could do something interesting about like how many times this, like, you know, bare bones logo comes up on, you know, all the different places. So obviously Twitter, neighborhoods.com, sports.yahoo, like there's lots of things, like you can find out interesting information that way. Search Cube is kind of similar. So it's just another, it's kind of like pretty archaic. People have had success with this one in the past for like more obscure historical things. But I think you can probably, you know, get what you need type thing. And then, so here's another, we can do reverse image search through Google too. And it will kind of do the same thing. So basically what you're doing is finding all the examples that you, and you really like put together, just like find as many as you can, first of all. And real quick, before I go any further, I just wanted to check on, here I'll go to classroom instead, because clearly I'm, how many I asked you to get, because I want to make sure that's correct. And I'm sorry, I've had to change it because normally this project is a group project, which is why I want to double check and see how many I suggested. Okay, I didn't say. Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. I'm asking for you to collect 40. Okay, at least 40. At least 40 iterations of your image. Okay, so you'll find your 40, that's data hoarding. Then what you'll do is you will sort of go through and tag them or organize them. Basically, you're looking for patterns, trends, and relationships. So what, you know, what I've had folks do in the past is I would ask people to bring them printed out to class, and then we would do this big organizing activity. You can do that virtually, you can do it digitally. We'll actually, when we meet, we'll practice doing this. But oftentimes, like as you're collecting, you can sort of start thinking and seeing those themes. Once you kind of have your themes, you'll then do targeted data expansion. So basically you go back to the hoarding stage, but it's a little more focused. So let's say with, you know, with the West Virginia logo, I'm like, okay, I found some really interesting stuff in terms of sports. So maybe I'll go back and search like WV logo plus sports, right? You're basically trying to flesh out your data set. Then that's when you start to do the analysis. So you have this like body, this corpus, this group of images. You've tagged them, you're thinking about the relationships, and then you start sort of thinking about the implications of this. Like, how did something spread? Why did it spread? What are the connections? What's interesting? What's giving me tension? What do I have questions about? So it sort of helps you think about how all of this is related, which moves you into kind of like the larger analysis. So it's like writing the report, you know, thinking about the implications of everything. So that's really it. Like, that's the process. You will be working on this for the rest of the semester, so you can sort of start small. You will, so this week, so you're going to watch this, and then you're going to be doing your final project proposal. So really look at the examples, think through what you might want to do, because sometimes people will pick something and then it doesn't really work. So I suggest, like with the proposal, you know, doing some quick Googling to make sure you can find enough interesting stuff. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention is going, besides all this stuff, like going onto Twitter or Facebook or whatever to search Reddit. And so like searching for West Virginia logo, you can find some stuff here too. Sometimes that works. So sometimes, you got to search a little bit. Sometimes you don't. But anyway, so I hope this was helpful. All this handouts in the going to be connected to this video. So I'm really excited for this final project. People have lots of fun with it, and I can't wait to see what you find with your stuff. All right, cool. Thanks.